All right, here we are back again at Davos. I'm Ethan here with Josh Krieger from Edge of NFT, and we have some very special guests today, Maria Buccellati and Andrea Abrams, and we're going to talk a bit about fashion, exciting topic to bring here to Davos. I'm going to let them each introduce themselves, and then we're going to jump into a rousing conversation. So why don't we start with Maria?
Yes, I'm Maria Buccellati. I'm founder and owner of Faith Connection and co-founder of Faith Tribe.
Beautiful. I'm Andrea Abrams. I'm the founder of Phygicode. We are a consortium of industry leaders in physical and digital Metaverse development, helping brands and entertainment products bridge the gap between the physical and the digital. I'm also the chief strategist for Faith Tribe DAO with Maria.
Excellent. And it's such a privilege to have you here. I know, we had to kind of pull you in from everything that's going on. I know, Andrea, you've gotten 2 hours of sleep every day for the past week. So anyways, it's great to be able to spend some time with you. I think a great question to start with, just to give some foundation here, is, why is Davos an important place to be for you this week? What brings you here? And have you been involved before? And if not, why now?
This is the first year for me with Web3, with what's going on with what I call the most transformative thing that's happened to the fashion and retail industry in my 25 years in the business. I thought it was important for us to be here because it was one of those events that was really very neutral when it comes to protocols, and it was very platform agnostic. So what I loved about the program is that we have a lot of friends, old and new, coming together that are all involved in metaverse development. So you have NFTs, you have conversations about crypto, you have conversations about platforms. And I found that the content is very innovative and very much forward-looking at what's next. This is what we've done so far, and where are the smart companies going forward. So it was great to see some of the traditional Web 1 and Web 2 players here as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I even learned yesterday there's a Metaverse committee for the World Economic Summit, and Robbie Young from Animoca Brands, we hung out with him for a little bit of time. He was only here for 24 hours. But, the fact that they're having this committee says a lot about the significance of what we're all doing and how we're spending all of our time.
Maria, any comments on kind of being here?
Well, I see that what we're doing is so important in this moment. And it's a moment in time. And we're living it in this second. We're part of the world economy. We're part of the progress. That's why we're here. There's a reason. It's not just like that. And it's interesting to see such a dynamic group of people put together, where there's different sorts and different businesses. I was on the plane, and next to me was the mayor of Miami, and I was like, "Oh, you're going too?" And he said, "You're going too?" And I said, "I have a talk, and I do too." And it was kind of just so casual, See Mayor Francis Suarez on the plane coming here and being part of something that I'm also part of, and so it's a movement. And this is what's different today in Davos, and this is why these conversations in the blockchain hub are so creative and so novel.
Absolutely. I was just talking to the Ministry of Trade for Singapore, and they're interested in Web3, so it's really quite incredible. And, one of the key components of Web3 that, could be the whole focus of this conversation or a house or a conference is DAOs. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions of DAOs, and there's also a lot of capabilities of DAOs that don't always get talked about. And I'd love to get both of your perspectives on DAOs and how they generally are working today, what maybe they could do differently, and how they apply to an industry around fashion and can support some of your goals like sustainability.
So for me, DAOs are, again, Maria comes from a very organic way of building community, and that's why I was so excited to join her. I had been in the blockchain space since 2018 with some of the biggest protocols, and I'm a big believer in Gavin Wood's belief that it's all about truth and not trust, okay? And so when you think about DAOs and the ones that failed, and you think about what Gavin said here at Davos yesterday, we need more truth. And so when Maria called me and said, you've been involved in blockchain for fashion, you've been involved in funding some wonderful digital wearable platforms, how how would we do this if we do this through a DAO and Web3? And I said, there's very few people who can really do that authentically and with truth. And Maria is one of them. Because I lived through that experience with Maria in the physical world. We were friends in the industry, and in the physical fashion industry, at a time when I said no more store parties for me. Been there, done that. Maria's store parties were epic. It was a combination of incredible artists, musicians that went on to be Grammy winners at a store party in Soho. It was building community. And I started saying years ago to a lot of the fashion brands that I advised, you need to start looking at the community you are approaching. It is consumption for access, not for possession. And the access that Maria created around Faith Connection is the spirit of a proper DAO. And it is that access that couldn't be so easily democratized when it was, you had to know Maria, you had to know someone who invited you to the store, you had to be in New York. We're trying to take that to the metaverse and say, we can give you access in different ways, and we can also invite you to a party in the metaverse and provide you genuine access to Maria and our tools without having to go to that store in New York.
And I assume that truth also means truth in labeling. Like I had a small foray in the fashion industry, and I learned that, you can do one last stitch in a different country and call it made in that country, right? There's a lot of misconceptions around sustainability and a lot of moving of products from one country to another just to make it made in that country, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We had a t-shirt and a sweatshirt called Made in, Made in LA, Made in New York. It was Faith Made in LA, and this was huge. It was like one of our bread and butter. It's
nice.
funny you mentioned that. It was one of our concepts.
No, I just didn't understand it until I got into it, and I think a lot of people don't. And I think part of being in a DAO is learning, right? And really being in the mix as opposed to just a consumer.
The traceability, I started my keynote earlier with traceability and authentication. I mean, when I got into space pre-pandemic, we were not talking about beautiful JPEGs, and there were no punks and no apes. We were talking about NFTs for what they are, and using the tokens on a ledger that is more trusted, and it's a ledger that is more immutable because of what you're talking about. How many sustainable brands that claim to be sustainable brands failed to deliver the promise of sustainability? Because when somebody found out where they were really making the garment, or what you just described, this process of going around the system to claim it, but it was a false claim, the brand values collapsed. Again, we consume around the community of brand values. One of the things that NFTs for inventory management and traceability can do is really show authentic product origin, but also product destination. One of my big themes in my personal life, as well as my business life, is circularity. I think it's not going to be a choice in 10 years. Every brand, everybody making product is going to have to account for the carbon footprint of that product. And so being able to have a trusted, immutable, not corruptible ledger that shows where the item ended up and that it's not in a landfill in Chile somewhere is very important when you think of the business of fashion, which Maria has been part of for many years.
And does that also include a voice at the table in a different way? Because I'm just thinking about some of the controversies with big brands and where they were made and sort of child labor. And you can write them, you can call them, but that's not the same as being part of the decision-making process. Are you sort of rethinking that from a DAO perspective?
I'm rethinking because, in any case, this experience of being in Davos has given me a possibility to learn also about the DAOs around us. Last night I was with Deepak Chopra, and he went to me, he was speaking, and he goes, creativity is uncertainty. And what is it? We are in an uncertain moment, right? And he was in a presentation of a DAO of the cities of the future, and they were talking of how we're going to save those cities. So there we go from that to us to going to the psychedelic house and learning about meditation, and there again I find Deepak Chopra talking about and doing sessions. So it's very interesting how life experiences today are creating these DAOs very, very special and unique. And when Andrea says, Maria, you have this way and ability to put people together, because this is what I know how to do. And that, to create it in the metaverse, for me, is like a dream, that we can give that experience, that people can feel it.
I get it. And by the way, Deepak is everywhere because he was at the hotel I was at 2 hours ago having coffee next to me at the table next to me.
You
So,
might have a double or a triple.
so I don't know how this guy does it, but he is spreading consciousness in a very profound physical way.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And he said, "Did you come to meditate yesterday at my place?" I said, "No, I didn't know you were meditating." Maybe you should.
Has
He is-
achieved omnipresence.
In Davos, 100%.
No.
Well, you know, at Edge of NFT and NFT LA, well, first of all, thanks so much for being such a big part of what we do. You know, you were present at NFT LA in a big way and really helped to make it happen. But what I wanted to make a point of is we've heard about Faith Tribe quite a bit, and we've heard about Phygicode, and we haven't like dove really deep. So I'd like to kind of dive a little bit deeper into what Phygicode is and does and where it's going. So can we hop in there?
So Phygicode became a consortium after many calls during the pandemic from retail CEOs I've done for 20 plus years. Everybody wanted a solution for the metaverse. So you helped us enter Web 1, Web 2, now help us with Web 3. And I said, Web 3 is not something we can enter. There's no tunnel to the metaverse. Web 3 is a whole ecosystem of tools and new technologies. It's the next internet. So I want to go back to the basics and go back to the DNA of the brand and ask yourself, if you were a brand that was around at the advent of Web 2, what were the decision-making processes? So at Phygicode, we really decided we start with what we're not. We're not an agency, we're not an NFT marketplace, and we're not a tech platform. We are a consortium of leaders, C-suite leaders in the physical and digital areas of metaverse development, coming from mostly the world of fashion and retail. So we have people running physical authentication of product through NFTs with a variety of different platforms. We have people from digital design and physical design. We have prominent fashion designers. We have Maria is going to announce her project for Phygicode at NFT NYC because we have all of these amazing new opportunities to collaborate with other Phygicode partners. We have people from Metaverse for Good. We have people from Farfetch who, we have all of the ecosystem of physical and digital brands that constitute the world of commerce, which I say is truly omnichannel. The other thing that we do is we become organically an incubator. We realize that when we find a good project, it might be with a brand or an artist that is not ready to invest a lot in the metaverse. So we actually provide the funding and the umbrella. I like to say we're a little bit like Kith, and if Ronnie Fieg is watching, he's going to laugh. Because there were some brands in New York that defined this umbrella and incubator for people who were in the space and wanted to get into a new community. And so in order for us to be authentic to our message, I told all my partners in Phygicode that we have to be very authentic about committing to finding the tools to help test products. So our first product for Metaverse Fashion Week was actually with a little known brand from the Caribbean, a festival wear brand, which is a physical brand tied to an organization that benefits women, teaches women how to sew, with a metaverse leader. And it was such a success from a branding perspective, from exposing the brand and the activities to the world. But most importantly, I was really touched when department store friends of mine were calling to say, how do we get the physical product in our store? And it went full circle. Maria, you have the Phygital. I mean, I told Maria, she's joining Phygicode as well to bring the physical and digital. I think Maria is the epitome of Phygital. Maria has created this beautiful jacket, which is a piece of art, by the way. It has, this artist created.
I recognize this face.
This is her face. This piece of art is in her apartment. It's been put in a jacket that is enabled by a chip that connects via airdrop to the NFT, to the digital twin of this asset. I said to Maria, you have organically taken what you were doing in the physical world now to the metaverse, and you are one of the images of Phygicode. So we're really trying to test the limits of physical and digital so it doesn't feel so scary for brands to enter Web3.
And it's interesting because this happened organically. This artist brought this sketch to me and said, here, this is for you. I want to work with you. I want to work with you. I have to be involved with you. And I said, sure, let's see. And then one day, we put this together when we were doing our launch in Miami Art Basel. And this came together between students from Marangoni Institute and the artist and us with the base of the canvas for this product. So it was very magical.
By the way, during NFT LA, I wore a fantastic piece, one of my favorite old vintage Faith Connection pieces. I couldn't bring it here. It's brought incredibly customized by an amazing artist I met at Maria's store, one of my most prized possessions. And it was very warm that day, but I wore it on stage because I wanted to show the world that we've been doing this customization and this community building for many years. And now we're going to mint it into an NFT.
Very cool. I think that's a great segue to the conversation about metaverses, where the question is, are they the home of digital and physical intersecting? Are they a gateway to the physical world? Are they a place to express your identity digitally and go beyond your physical self? And I think there's a lot of challenges with adoption of usage of metaverses. I don't know how much time people are really spending in there. We met a really cool company, Decentral Games, and they dominating Decentraland with poker. Well, that's a fun use case, right? Like, I like poker, but that doesn't scream mass adoption, right? So I'd love your perspective as sort of fashion pioneers on how the metaverse can be a conduit to self-expression from a fashion perspective.
Look, I agree with you, Josh. I don't think we're anywhere near the level of adoption we're all expecting. I am one of those people that believes that we're not all going to live in a video game. It's impractical. I mean, we all have jobs. We all have families. However, I think...
I don't mind sleeping in video games. I have to do that anyways.
But I will say...
If you watch Mark Zuckerberg's introduction to Meta, it's you're working in the metaverse. It's very interesting.
But I think some of that is,
He's ready for you to be working for him,
I think people are concerned that we're trying to bring everybody to a very cartoon-oriented type of world. And I will tell you, the fashion industry, I think what he said best is it's hierarchical and it's elitist, and it is very, very perfectionist when it comes to looks, right? It's our industry. Actually, one of our members in Phygicode is a 20-year veteran of the publishing industry. He's been with all the major fashion publishing brands because I said to him, we need someone who understands visual communications to teach the young people of the metaverse what looks good, whether it's digital or physical. I do think that adoption is going to come organically from the use cases that really matter. And if you think back to Web 1 or Web 2, there was a time where we did not think that we would ever use, maybe some younger people did, but those of us of our generation, we did not think that we would ever use a digital tool to pay for things or to access our bank accounts or to communicate with our families. We never thought we would be communicating through the kind of social media platforms we have today. I find that we're in the same place today. The tools are not fully developed, but you can start seeing how selling product in a virtual world that's more photorealistic and showing the garments in digital ways to buyers, for example, could be very attractive for a brand because digital sampling is going to save a lot of money and time.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like one of the more obvious use cases, right? Like, it takes time to get to the mall and to shop, and like, it's really hard for me at least to find brands that fit my body correctly and that I like the style and I'm not at the point where I'm getting custom everything, right? So I'd like to be able to like hang out at the Josh Mall and check out the shops that are all about Josh.
I love that you're saying that because the people who know me as the future is phygital, I talk about a world with no sizing. The fashion industry is notorious for brands changing the sizing.
They fit in,
the 2 is a 0, the 0.
and the same brands from one season to the next. And this slim fit stuff, don't get me started on that.
No, but I tell you what's going to happen. I do think that, there are a lot of tools today that we see that are photorealistic scanning that gets tied to avatars. At Phygicode, we're working with a couple of those providers. So we do see a world in which eventually, when these tools are more accessible, cost accessible, brands won't have to call something a 34 or 44 or 54, and you won't have to say, oh, in Italy, this is that. It's going to be Josh's size, your avatar, and automatically it will be adapted. Why? Because it will be manufacturing on demand, which is a big part of what Maria and Wahid and Faith Connection are pioneering, and now Faith Tribe is going to offer and make accessible to other brands. Fashion on demand has a lot of wonderful benefits, cost, circularity, no waste. But also imagine someone like you. You now would be able to look at your avatar and say, it's not a size this or that, it's Josh's size.
Now, if I get to the gym 3 months later, can I tweak it and get?
You can tweak your avatar. I think you would have to pay for a new garment if you wanted to tweak it.
This is what I'm thinking, right? If you could literally, I'm sure this could happen. I don't know if it's lucrative that it will happen, but you could design an algorithm that would say, if you do these exercises for 3 months, then these are the clothes that you would be wearing, right? And you could use it as almost like a...
And you know what I'm also thinking, based on that, is there's no reason why this information couldn't be fed to a local tailor to tweak your clothing, right? If all this data is available. So you could have these great partnerships with the local person to sort of...
And healthcare. You mentioned something very important. I actually know of healthcare companies that are starting to use metaverse-like tools and virtual worlds and avatar design to help educate young people on health issues to help prevent future illnesses and even like diabetes. And it's kind of boring when we teach kids in school, do not eat sugar. But when you see it in a video game, I love purpose-driven gaming, okay? Because that's going to be very exciting for education.
One other thing, the juices are flowing. I'm tired. You could bring your shopping assistant with you into the metaverse, and your shopping assistant can be in Brazil. You're in LA, right?
Yeah,
so there's something interesting there, and then there's a lot to unpack, and you could have your friends there with you, and you could sort of talk to your favorite brand, and
you could customize an item with Maria Buccellati in the virtual world. I mean, look at our store. We did a beautiful store in Central Line and a party, and now you can actually see the real Maria Buccellati in the rear jacket and create a digital customized piece that becomes an NFT. And maybe if you want to pay for the physical, we could also create the physical.
And what about co-creation among designers and different textileists, right? I mean, I think that's probably a little bit easier if you have sort of this visual canvas in front of you virtually.
Yeah, that's the next step.
And actually, we're already working on that, because what we talked about earlier on our panel was, Faith Connection was pioneering this collaborative effort under the umbrella of a very strong brand. There's only so many artists that you can access and so many people who could attend the party. Now, what we have we could have an endless number of digital artists that join the platform, and we could offer them the chance to customize items. They could use our utility coin to buy access to different tools and discounts and a variety of elements of our industry that are typically very hard to access until you reach a certain critical mass. But you can also create digital versions of garments that could be far more interesting than you thought. There are limitations to what we can do in the physical world. Mm-hmm. And I talked earlier about metaverse identities. I tell all the brands, the biggest opportunity I see for you, you're not just dressing the physical community members or customers, or you're trusting their alter egos. So the brand that we launched, Phygicode by Wildflower, it's a carnival wear brand. I don't see myself wearing that in Manhattan anytime soon, but my avatar was rocking it in the metaverse. And I don't want to be this person in the metaverse, because in the metaverse I can be 15 other people. So if you're a brand, you can sell me certain things in the physical world, and you can sell me infinite styles in the metaverse. So I do think that we are exploring more of that, and the artistic community is embracing it, because out of that, brands will also be able to source new talent that was not available to them before.
So sounds like there's going to be a Faith Tribe DAO fashion festival in the metaverse at some point in the future.
Well, we just did the burner one, so it's already happened.
Of course.
With Blondish, yeah.
And well, she's great. She's awesome.
Blondish was great.
Yeah.
But also you're going to be able to come and customize on the metaverse with our artists. They will have their turn. You know, you can pick and pull.
I think this is such an important conversation, Ethan, because like I think the metaverse is so nebulous, and we've really talked about some very specific use cases here.
Sure. Yeah. And unfortunately, we'll probably have to cut the conversation. And I think for two reasons. One, Andrea needs some sleep today, and we don't want her to have to squeeze in more and more and more into less time. Actually helped her earlier escape from requests, and then somebody came in and requested it. It just didn't work out. That's the first reason. Second reason, if we keep going, your brands is going to turn into joshstore.xyz, and he's
I
going
think
to
Josh wants to
change
join the
direction of
tribe
the
and be a
company.
creative. Maybe for the next podcast, we'll announce Josh's collaboration with Faith.
It's a little bit of an interesting predicament. Is we have a small team still, but we have 4 Joshes in the company. So
The Josh toy.
there's definitely some Josh Dow thing happening
Yeah.
at some point in the future.
Or we're going to do a
There's
collaboration. Josh,
And
time.
we should make your
There's
fashion
there's
fair.
a lot of Joshes in Web3, and
Yes.
you're gonna now be aware of this as you start to like network more. How many Joshes you run into?
Oh, man,
But
I
there's
gotta
never
say-
like you.
This is like a Seinfeld episode. No, I'm not gonna.
It's like
I know I'm
fun.
dating myself inside, but this is a Seinfeld episode through Davos. I'm gonna be texting you guys how many Joshes have we
It's the
found.
Josh one of a kind.
Just I'm gonna start a
Wonderful.
Telegram group. Just drop them in the group.
All right, I know at least one other Ethan. I got to start working hard to build the Ethan Dow here.
I haven't met too many Ethans, man.
So you're going to sleep. I'm going dancing, and you guys.
No,
are
I
okay.
just want to rest. You know, it's been such a rich conference. What we were talking about earlier is that we had the scheduled program. We come from a world like at MFTLA. We had all these things scheduled back to back and meetings. But the thing about Davos, going back to your first question, is that the whole town feels like a campus, and we're all kind of jumping around and meeting. We're being
Exactly.
stopped constantly.
We are like a campus. That's
Last night
perfect
it was like
description.
more and more customers. It's like it's so
Africa,
exciting. You don't want
India.
to stop.
Yeah.
It's a great environment. We're great to be here. Great to find partners from the U.S. that we're working with, because it's been interesting to share the conversation, because now you're experiencing the same things we're experiencing, and we can take it to the next level.
It's great, and it's great to see both of you in real life again in Davos, and hope it's a very productive remainder to your week. Thank you for joining
Thank
us
you.
for a little bit.
Thank you, Ethan.
Make
Thank
sure
you.
and share how people can get involved. Websites or socials to follow.
Yes, so Faith Tribe, so we have www.faithtribe.io, and you can learn about Faith Connection and Faith Tribe, and you can learn all about our utility token. And Phygicode is phygicode.io. And Phygicode, you can learn from our website about our consortium members. We'll be announcing 10 more in June, and we will be announcing a lot of the collaboration projects and ways to collaborate.
And
Beautiful.
Faith Connection with an X, guys. Don't forget.
Oh,
Faith Connection.
Yeah.
The brand.
beautiful.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great
Thank you.
Davos.
Thank you, guys.